for news that's short, sharp and
Are
shrewd.
you talking about the podcast or me?
Both.
Backhanded compliment.
This is Up Late with Ben Harvey. Are you pleased Chris Dawson's governor?
Well, I'm pleased the Premier took my advice.
Which is why it gives me great pleasure to announce Christopher John Dawson's appointment as the 34th Governor of Western Australia.
Joins a list of luminaries stretching back to Captain James Stirling, who was George IV's local representative in WA when the colony was founded in 1829, which was around the time Chris got his police cadetship.
I have had 46 years of public life through law enforcement.
What made you think it could be Dawson?
Please.
You've got a friend in me.
You've needed a crowbar to get McGowan off him ever since COVID happened. Now, we've got this very cosy relationship between Chris Dawson and Mark McGowan. And as Up Late told you just 4 days ago, the Beazley-McGowan love fest was over. It was a long and fiercely loyal friendship, but apparently Mark has moved on. Beazley wanted his term extended for 2 years, but McGowan had other plans.
What about Mr Beazley? Had he requested an extension? Did he express any disappointment?
I just want to say something about Kim Beazley. He's done a great job as governor, as has his wife Susie in supporting in that role. But eventually, the role as governor comes to an end. It's extended actually through till July, just so you know. We're extending Governor Beazley through till July, which he's graciously agreed to do.
Graciously.
Yeah, sure.
McGowan recently told the Queen that he intended to appoint a career copper as her representative in WA.
Commissioner Dawson, I believe, will be the first police officer to ever hold this office.
Big job for a lifetime cop.
We'll be trading the criminal code for the intricacies of constitutional law.
Would you call yourself a monarchist or Republican?
That's a really interesting question because the moment I put a label on it, it's really difficult.
No, it's not.
I recognise and respect the existing framework, but I also recognise that the Australian people are very keen to see what is to come towards a republic, and I think that is for the Australian people to decide, not for me to advocate right here and now.
Let's not overcomplicate matters unnecessarily.
OK, Nostradamus, so who's going to be the new commissioner?
Nostradamus. I also said Sue Gordon, Fiona Stanley, Colleen Hayward were in the running for governor, so I'm a master at hedging my bets there. But regarding the position of police commissioner, it's black and white. It's Cole Blanchard's job if he wants it. But I'm not sure if he'll want it.
Why not?
Well, Cole is the Deputy Commissioner. He's been goosed to Dawson's Maverick since March 2019 and has been in charge of day-to-day operations since Dawson became State Emergency Coordinator in 2020. Now, being Commissioner means you're half politician, and that's not Cole. He just likes catching bad guys.
Bad boys, what you gonna do?
Plus, the top job means a lot of time in front of the camera, which you can see isn't something Blanche relishes.
What does being governor pay?
$454,000 a year.
More than the Premier.
And you get a pretty nice house.
Still nothing compared to resources. There's big bucks there at the moment.
$425 billion. That's how much mining companies and oil and gas businesses made by drilling, gigging and blasting great big holes in Australia and sucking out the good bits. It's a lot of money, $100 billion more than last year, and that was a record itself. Every day of this financial year, Australian resources companies are making $1,150,684,951.51.
Jeez, so how much do we get?
We, the owners of the oil and gas and the iron ore and the gold and the bauxite and everything, all really. Steady state production, as they call it, isn't great for us. We're like West Coast on the weekend, constantly getting screwed.
Is in best position.
We clip the ticket with royalties and business taxes, but the real winners are the companies themselves. They work the system pretty nicely. The energy companies in particular are experts at avoiding tax. They're more slippery than Michael Walters in the second quarter. There's a tax called the PRRT that's meant to give us a clip of the sales, but bugger all companies pay it, so we get next to nothing. The Australian citizen benefits when we actually build new projects. That's why Josh Frydenberg has been at Eneabba recently. He, by which I mean we, are giving a company called Aluka Resources a $1.25 billion low-interest loan so it can build a rare earths refinery. Rare earths being stuff that sounds like a species of dinosaur, but which are essential for modern life because they go into things like computers and smartphones so we can keep up to date with important current events. We're trying to get our critical minerals industry up and going here because it's dominated by China. And Russia has just proved that not every nation is dedicated to peace and prosperity.
We said it before, war is good for WA.
Eneabba is nothing compared to the mother of all resources projects that's on the horizon. Browse is Australia's biggest untapped gas resource. It was discovered in 1967, but nobody has been able to get it into production. Woodside owns it. They've tried to make it work, piping it to James Price Point, a floating production option. They were thinking about sending it to Darwin because it was a cheaper alternative. The numbers never stacked up. The economics always misses out. Woodside has been done a solid by this guy. Russia's man of the people is even more despised domestically after being sprung wearing an $18,000 puffer jacket. That's double the average salary in Russia, and people are starting to notice his fashion tastes.
Yeah, and it's not just a crime against fashion.
The butcher of Bucha, as he's being called at the moment, is under enormous pressure from a former UN war crimes prosecutor. Carla Del Ponte led war crime tribunals in former Yugoslavia and Rwanda. She says an international arrest warrant should be issued for Putin, which is great news for this woman. Woodside boss Meg O'Neill and her shareholders are getting rich because the restrictions on Russian gas exports has put a rocket under global energy prices. And that's very suddenly put Browse back in the game. Europe needs gas, and Browse contains 16 trillion cubic feet of it. That's more than 11 million tonnes a year of gas over its lifetime, which is enough to make a lot of electricity. If Browse does get tapped, it will probably be fed through the North West Shelf project. That facility needs a major upgrade because when it was built, the engineers were doing their designs on these.
Had my Commodore 64, had to score.
The first LNG cargo from the North West Shelf was in 1989. That was the year the EA Falcon came out. Imagine trying to run one of them today. And it will be the most sought-after FIFO gig in Australia because the North West Shelf is right on the doorstep of Karratha. You're not stuck in the middle of nowhere. Karratha's middle of nowhere, but you know what I mean.
1989 was a bad year for cars.
Bad year for the Eagles as well. I reckon a few fans who watch the weekend's game will be reliving those memories, painful ones.
Fremantle on a roll.
In 1989, they lost their first 4 games and almost took home the wooden spoon. They did take home the wooden spoon in 2010 after winning a total of 4 games. 2022, we're 3 games into the season, and West Coast have 0 wins on the board. Now we can sit back and watch the fair weather fans hit the ejector seat, because no one jumps off the bandwagon faster than the Chardonnay set.
Get me out of here.
To be fair, half the Eagles have had COVID.
Yeah, bring on the 4th jab, and the 5th, and the 6th. You know there'll be a constitutional challenge to this, right?
Easy. No need to shout, Governor.
I'm Ben Harvey. If you'd like to watch Up Late with me, Ben Harvey, search for The West Australian on YouTube.